Peter, good morning. If I looked at the pre-combine question or questions that you had, and now the post-combine, were those questions answered?
Not even remotely, Dan. The only thing anybody really cares about this year, I mean, everybody knows that this is going to be an excellent, excellent defensive draft. And there's incredibly gifted athletes in this draft, and everybody knew that they would all shine at the combine, and almost all of them did, from Jabril Peppers to Myles Garrett. You know, there were no shortage of those guys doing great jobs. But we still have this issue of there's 4 or 5 quarterbacks here, and nobody has any idea who should go number one, where they should be picked. And the moral of the story is, you know, the skies keep falling in on the Cleveland Browns because the year that they own the draft, 8 picks in the top 150, nobody has more than 6 other than Cleveland. They got the first pick overall. They could easily take Myles Garrett at number 1 and then have enough draft ammunition to move up to take the quarterback of their dreams. But is there a quarterback worth taking? I really believe that some of these teams that need quarterbacks up top are going to look at this crop full of question marks and say, essentially, we're waiting until next year.
And I understand that logic. I don't understand the logic of we got to get our quarterback, so let's take a quarterback who is not really who we want right now, but we got to get our quarterback. And I don't know if Garoppolo and Romo, Cousins, if they change anything with the draft. But well, let me
Garoppolo, take him off your radar. He's not going anywhere.
No matter what.
No matter what. He's not going anywhere.
What is his career plan?
Let me ask you just this question. I've had this conversation with a few people in New England. If you were Jimmy Garoppolo, would you really want to get traded right now? I mean, really? Would you want to go to Cleveland, learn a new offense on a team that might be destined to not be good, you know, in the time that you have there? Would you want to do that? Or would you want to wait until next year when you could be a free agent and pick your team and maybe pick your team, and it could be a team that Josh McDaniels will coach? So why in the world would Jimmy Garoppolo want to get traded now? I'd want to back up Tom Brady again and take my chances.
Okay, but let me look at it from the Patriots' point of view. Why would I want to allow him to walk in free agency and get a compensatory pick when I might be able to get a top 5 or top 10 pick right now?
Because Bill Belichick just doesn't look at it that way. Bill Belichick says, I have a 40-year-old quarterback. And in spite of the fact that in the last 8 years, the only 4 games he's ever missed are the ones he was suspended for. The fact is, you're rolling the dice when any player gets to be 40 years old. So you tell me, I mean, you know, this is a team, Dan. You look at the team that the New England Patriots had on the field, the offense that they had on the field, on the game-tying drive in the Super Bowl. And there's one player, Nate Solder, who was drafted in the top 75 of any draft. All the rest of them, 3rd-round pick or below or undrafted. So everybody is saying, oh, my God, Belichick passing on the 12th pick in the draft. How could he do that? He's never had the 12th pick in the draft. What does he care? It's just not – he's not thinking – hey, look, I don't know. I haven't talked to him. But in my opinion, watching the way they're operating, he's not thinking that way. All he's thinking of is, I get a great chance to win next year. And we're going to take that chance, and we're going to try everything we can to win another one next year.
I saw where Adrian Peterson, Brendan Marshall both have an interest in the Patriots. We haven't heard if the Patriots have an interest in them, but can you see a fit for either one of those two?
I could see a fit in Brandon Marshall if he'd want to do what Chris Long did last year, which is play for, 40% of what he could make somewhere else. Hard for me to imagine Adrian Peterson there unless it was an absolute, totally, kind of a rock-bottom contract. I think Peterson is destined probably more to make decent money, either in either with the Giants or Green Bay or somebody like that. But again, Adrian Peterson, I'm sure, is going to be a little disappointed with the market out there.
The Tony Romo situation where there was, I don't know if the Redskins threw out a trade rumor that wasn't really true. And, is Denver in now on Romo? And, do they have an understanding with Jerry Jones and Tony Romo of, look, I'll give you a soft landing here, but trust me? Or explain what's going on here with Romo.
I don't know all that much about it, Dan, really. I was only at the Combine for a day, but I do know this, that the relationship between Jerry Jones and Tony Romo is such that neither one is going to screw the other. And I felt that way all along. So Tony Romo is going to find a good spot to play. I'm assuming it's going to be probably Houston or Denver, even though, I was told after the season flat out John Elway will go to camp with these two quarterbacks, Paxton Lynch. Let me preface that by saying he'll go to camp with the two guys unless somebody is handed to him. Okay, but in my opinion, I think Tony Romo. It's just my feeling. I think Tony Romo would prefer to play in Houston. It makes all the sense in the world. It's close to home. His wife's going to have another baby. That they can stay in Dallas. He can get on a plane and fly 40 minutes and come home once a week. And it seems to make sense for him to go to Houston. Plus, there's a real need there.
MMQB had a great article on John Ross prior to the Combine. I think Emily Kaplan did it. Is that?
Yeah.
Really, it was really interesting, and it gave me a heads up and reminded me of just how electric he was, at Washington. But the 4.22 means what for his draft status as opposed to if he didn't run the 4.22? Let's say he ran a 4.43. Does it matter, or all of a sudden 4.22 changes everything for John Ross?
I don't think it changes everything. I mean, I think that these are things that get people really excited and really stoked about receivers. I think there are people in the league right now who'd rather have Zay Jones or rather have Cooper Kupp, and those guys were not electric combine guys necessarily. I think that, for instance, those two guys I just mentioned, Jones and Kupp, they were the stars of the Senior Bowl. And I think if you ask scouts and general managers, what would you rather see? Somebody be a star at the Senior Bowl or somebody to be a star at the Combine? I think they would all vote for Senior Bowl.
Peter, I know you're short on time. Thank you for joining us on short notice, and continued success there at mmqb.com.
Appreciate it, Dan. Good talking to you.
All right, that's Peter King.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.